Hi, my name is Stephen Wilson. I'm Assistant Director and Curator of the Abraham Lincoln Library and Museum. In the war from 1861 to 1865, there were a great many names made by individuals such as George Custer, Phil Sheridan, William Sherman, and of course people like Grant, Lee, Burnside, Longstreet, a lot of folks who made their military chops, so to speak, in the battles that took place during this war. This array behind me is a copy of a large painting that kind of celebrates all those Union generals who were instrumental in the war. Now, they might have been instrumental in one way or the other, but not very many of the generals you see up here were very successful. McClellan was a superb chief of staff and a very good organizer, but as a combat general, he was, well, out of his league. People like Grant, that you see right here, was much better as a combat general. What's interesting about Grant, he didn't do very well at West Point. He excelled in mathematics and drawing and horsemanship. He loved to ride and ride fast. He was an impressive individual. When you saw him, he was wearing usually a private uniform, and that was muddy, and he was rather short and not very dynamic, certainly not as dynamic as Winfield Scott Hancock or Joseph Hooker. But he was very effective in fighting the enemy. As a matter of fact, he was likened to a bulldog that once he got a hold of something, he would not let go. His men loved him, even though he, of course, saw many of them killed, for the fact that he would not give up. McClellan would give up, Hooker gave up, Meade, who won the Battle of Gettysburg for the North, did not give up. But it was Grant and his absolute determination that made a difference. So when you look at all these generals up here, you're going to see a number of generals who are at least important in history for what they accomplished during this period. I should also mention Phil Sheridan here, who survived the war to go on to fight Native Americans, as did Sherman up there. An individual that you can see just barely to my right there are the golden locks of Custer. For those of you who don't know who Custer was or what happened to him, he suffered an unfortunate occurrence at the Little Bighorn in 1876. He was killed. But during this period as a general in the cavalry, he was a very successful and very dynamic individual. So in terms of the generals you see here, you could probably go through and pick out 4 or 5 and find them to be remarkable. As far as the other ones go, well, they look good on horseback.